Welcome to a very different episode of The Dragon Table. For one thing, you can see my big dumb face. And also I just wanted to talk a little bit about my personal gaming experience. I don't have a local gaming group per se. I also have a 3.5-year-old daughter. So I haven't been able to go to my local board game society's meetings, Columbus Area Board Gaming Society. I went to one a few weeks ago, but I was only able to play 2 games before I had to leave. My husband and I occasionally get to play games. Usually by the time the evening rolls around and we've gotten our daughter into bed, it's usually too late to play a game. And we're rarely here at the same time when she has her afternoon nap. So occasionally we play a game, but then it can't be a very long one. Because you never know when the little monster is going to rouse. We do have 2 really good friends that we love to play games with. They live 6 hours away and they have 1-year-old twins, which is awesome. But it also means that we don't really get to see them very much. We used to get together once a year and have a weekend of gaming and friendship. My parents live out of town. When they're in town or when we're visiting them, we love to play games. I grew up playing games with them, but we run into some of the same problems in managing child time and gaming time. My parents are in their 70s. Can you guess what their 2 favorite games are? No, you're wrong. My parents' 2 favorite games are Lords of Waterdeep and Clank. That's their 2 favorite games. They actually bought them for their own house and have 2 separate tables set up in their house, one with Clank and one with Lords of Waterdeep on it. We also enjoy Seven Wonders Duel, which is great when there's just 2 of us and we don't have a ton of time. They have this one as well, and it's great for them when it's in golf season and they don't have as much time to play. It's also great for when my mom is visiting and we want to fit in a quick game while my daughter's sleeping. I love this one. I do enjoy playing solo games. I have since I was a kid. I was an only child and my parents weren't always available to play games. So I taught my dog to play board games with me. I know, cue sad, pathetic music. I don't care. But I would set out a board on the floor from whatever game I wanted to play, and she would go and lay down on the other side of it. I taught her to roll dice off of her head. She wasn't good at drawing cards or spinning the wheel in life, so I'd have to do that for her, and I would just take the moves for her. It was really embarrassing when she beat me at Trivial Pursuit. And I still like to do that now, not with my dog, but play games and have dummy players or not necessarily dummy players, but players where I play their turns. And I try to play each player like I'm making the best decision for that player and try not to get in my head about knowing what another pretend player is going to do. Usually I max out at 2 separate players. I used to be able to keep a lot of information in my head, and then I had a kid. And now my mom brain don't work so good, so I just can't keep that much information in my head. There's some games that I just can't even do the dummy player thing anymore. Like Le Havre. This was too much for me to simulate a game with. I just couldn't keep the strategy in my head. My brain just wasn't working well enough anymore since having a kid. I used to play some longer solo games. I used to play a lot. I used to play my favorite one, still one of my favorite games, Mage Knight. I used to play this solo a lot, whenever I had time, but I can't really do it anymore because I don't have the large chunks of time to commit to it. And with games like these, it's hard to play for, say, half an hour and walk away and then come back and pick up where you left off. But I do. I miss you. The other one I used to play a lot of was Arkham Horror. Usually I play 4 characters, and I have 1 or 2 expansions. I can't remember which one. I didn't get all of them. But again, very time consuming and hard to walk away from and come back and remember what you're doing. But I'd have this set up and play for hours. I had I would get like I have like my special dice, my Arkham Horror dice. They're the ones that I use to roll for playing this game. My husband does not like this one. This takes too long. This is one of my favorite games, Defenders of the Realm. They're coming out with a new edition, and I kind of can't wait to see what they do, because the artwork is wonderful, but the graphic design is bad. But the gameplay is really great. When I was trying to describe it to people, I would describe it as Pandemic on fantasy steroids. This one you can play solo. You just have to play, manage a couple different characters, which isn't my favorite thing to do. I'd rather just have one character, but yeah, that doesn't work particularly well with this one. Another one that's a good solo game, and my husband likes it too, is Role Player. The rolling dice is really fantastic. I like, there are a lot of games that have a solo version that's just like try and beat your own score. And this is kind of like that, except there is a little chart at the back that says, if you get a certain score, you're at a certain level, like you get a title. And I can't remember what they are now. But it's like the equivalent of like, novice or master or whatever, legendary. So I kind of like that. I think that that's a cool aspect of it. And I think more games that do the beat your own score solo mechanic should do something like that, where you get a certain score and you get like a title. Another one with a good solo version is Call to Adventure. This is a great game, but it is at its heart a storytelling game. So I can play this solo and have a good time. The only problem is it's fun to talk out loud and to tell your story. So in that sense, I have a good time playing it with my husband, because we can make each other laugh and we can tell these stories about the characters that we're developing. If I'm playing it by myself, say, while my daughter is napping, I can't really talk too much out loud, describing my own character to myself. I cue sad, pathetic music, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. So aside from those few solo games, I've got a ton of games here that I don't get a chance to play, simply because I don't have anyone to play them with. As my daughter starts school, right now she's just in daycare, she'll be starting school in the next year or two, I'm hoping to find some parents to rope in to teach them how to game. That might be fun. Don't get me wrong, I do have friends, I have friends, but they're not gamers, at least not the ones that are around here, unfortunately. So I rope my husband into playing when I get a chance, when we have the time. And like I say, I love playing with my parents. That's really fun. Hopefully we get a chance to visit our friends that are 6 hours away and play some games with them. But in the meantime, I'll do my tutorials, because that's a good way for me to be involved in not necessarily playing the games, but handling the games, learning games, teaching myself to be better at games, because if I can teach a game to someone else, I can become better at the game. That's about all I wanted to talk about. Thanks for taking the time to listen to me, and thanks for visiting the Dragon Table. I'll see you next time.